Alright, hello. Chainsaw Man, or you know what, it's Man this chapter. Man, chapter 149 just dropped, and we are going to talk about it. So the chapter starts with Fumiko claiming that she's going to protect Denji and Nayuta so that Denji doesn't have to transform into Chainsaw Man. And this creates a disagreement because Nayuta, she's pretty strong. She doesn't really need protecting, and neither does Denji really. So, if anything, they might be better off without Fumiko in the fight. But anyways, this creates a conflict between Fumiko and Nayuta. And this is really the first time that we sing them interact with one another. And Denji reminds himself that they still need to feed their 8 dogs and 1 cat in their apartment. But Fumiko doesn't want to do that because the cult probably has their apartment surrounded. Because they know things about Denji, so they probably has people on the lookout for the apartment and whatnot. So there is a bit of a conflict here, but nothing that can't be unresolved. Unless that was before Nayuta just starts blasting with her finger chains. She misses the chain, it hits the old lady that's nearby in her minding her own business in her house, in her kitchen. But the old lady freaking bursts through the window to choke Fumiko. And unless Nayuta's chains give people like physical buffs, this old lady is going to be really messed up when she wakes up from her mind control. But Denji distracts Nayuta by tickling her and tells Fumiko to run. And she does. So that's kind of a continuation of what I went over last chapter about this panel, and that they are going to separate very soon, and they do. Um, there's something funny to me about Fumiko's running pose. Just very unnatural looking, very goofy looking, but yeah, moving on, we go to Nayuta's devilish side and a question on her humanity, or what little of it there is. So Denji, he is certain that Nayuta was going to kill Fumiko. She could have just been, trying to mind control her with her chains and talk her out of it. But Denji, who knows her better, doesn't think that's the case. So Nayuta starts a semi-psycho speech uh, about how it's in devil's nature to kill things. And that's true to an extent, because we've seen this in other friendly devils in the past. Like, Angel once said that he wants to make people suffer. And he's like the most human angel that we've ever seen, or human devil that we've ever seen. But anyways, now you go on a whole spiel about it's natural for devils to kill. It's as easy as breathing and swimming and trees photosynthesizing. And she thinks that Denji is the same, that killing people makes him happy, but it doesn't really from what we've seen. But anyways, Nayuta tries to kind of get Denji to join the devils. She ponders on the positives of just living as a devil. And it's not a out of the question scenario, because Denji once said that he's willing to join devils if they're nice to him. And right now, humans aren't really nice to him at all. So it's a distinct possibility for him to do that. So Denji tries to counter by, and I love this piece of dialogue right here. So Denji tries to counter at first by bringing up his friends, but then he realized that he has no friends, so he brings up Ayuta's friends instead. Uh, ooh, there was like a something in my throat. But anyways, Nayuta doesn't really care about her friends, so that doesn't quite work on her. Nayuta, she kind of read through Denji and sees that he's making all these excuses for Asa. And she questioned him on why he likes Asa so much. Which is a valid question because they haven't known each other for very long. And Denji replied by saying that she kissed him and she wasn't trying to hurt him when she did that. Because the last time Denji kissed, he got his tongue bitten off by Reze. And before that, Himeno threw up in his mouth. So that's not a great kissing experience for Denji. But that's not really true, is it? Because when Asa kissed him, it wasn't her. It was Yoru taking over her, and she did so with the intent of making Denji into one of her weapons. So Denji's perception of that event isn't really accurate. But the chapter ends with Denji reaffirming that he loves Nayuta more than he loves Asa or any other woman, and gets her to calm down and not kill human people. And they are going to go home and possibly feed their pets. And that's the end of the chapter. So this chapter really goes on a lot about Nayuta's personality, and in a lot of ways, she is continuing what Makima was doing. Because Makima's whole thing was that she wants to like separate Denji from whatever friends and connection he has, and Nayuta's doing that in a different direction. Instead of just separating them by killing them all, Nayuta's separating them by forcing him to choose her over them. So she's getting rid of all the other women in Denji's life, good or bad, because Fumiko was definitely a positive influence on Denji in terms of like caring for him. And Asa is kind of in the middle because she's not really good for Denji, but Yoru's not good for Denji, but Asa is. So that's kind of like a middle ground between them. But anyways, Nayuta, she's like forcing all the other people out of Denji's life so that he can only focus on her. So it's a different kind of manipulation. Instead of a hard kill them all manipulation, Nayuta is a more you have to choose me manipulation. Not sure if there's a word for it off the top of my head. So how do we fix her? How is Denji going to fix Nayuta? In Yogen no Nayuta, which is the one shot where the concept of Nayuta first came about, the protagonist of that story, who is that version of Nayuta's older brother, solves her devilry by slapping her, smacking her on the head. And he does this because he realized that he's never been able to discipline her before. He was scared of Nayuta for the entirety of his life. So he was always afraid to teach her and discipline her. And in a lot of ways, that's almost the same as how Denji feels towards his Nayuta. Because he's been scared of her and doesn't really attempt to teach her anything, which this chapter kind of acknowledges. Like, Fumiko asks him, what do you teach Nayuta? And Denji just do whatever. Lets her learn from TV and whatever else, because he's scared of her. So that's probably how Nayuta's character will go, I think. But anyways, that's the end of the chapter. Next chapter comes out December 5th because there's a break next week. Like, oh man, I can't believe it's already December of this year. It's crazy. But yeah, that's the end of this chapter. Da, da, da. So I guess that's it for now. I'll try to drop a video later, maybe today or tomorrow. Something I've been working on for a bit, and it's taking a while because of procrastination. But yeah, great chapter. I love the character development, and not really development, but right now it's like character. What do you call it when we learn more about a character, but it's like not necessarily developing them? I don't know what the term is. That character reveal, maybe. But it's a great chapter, and these kind of chapters are what I love Chainsaw Man for, rather than the action heavy chapters. But yeah, that's about the end of this week's discussion. I'll see you guys next week.